The Magog Cartel is the organisation that is the apparent main enemy to Oddworld's protagonist Abe. Oddworld fans generally know a lot about the Magog Cartel, but there's a few things that you may not know that I thought it would be interesting to talk about. There are numerous hidden details and aspects to the organisation that I and other people have noticed. First though, a quick introduction to the cartel for those who aren't familiar. A large industrial alliance comprising many various companies, it is the Magog Cartel that owns the main settings of the first two Oddworld games, Rupture Farms and SoulStorm Brewery. They also own Boneworks, Magog Motors, Slick Barracks and Fico Depot, now known as Comet Depot as of Oddworld SoulStorm. The Glukkon race are apparently in control of the Magog Cartel, led by their queen, Lady Margaret, the supreme ruler of the Magog Cartel. The organisation seems to be closely allied with the Vickers conglomerate, with businesses of each being connected with one another, such as the Vickers Labs shown to be opening soon in SoulStorm Brewery. The Glukkons focus on creating profitable businesses, while the Vickers focus on providing medicine and machinery while developing industrial science. It's really interesting to see how Oddworld Inhabitants have created an entire industrialist culture in the Oddworld universe, not just industrial culture, but many other cultures as well. For example, they go into such detail as putting the name of the fashion house that tailored Rupture Farms CEO Molluck the Glukkon's suits, in this case Emporio Magani, clearly a parody of Giorgio Armani. One thing I wondered about a while ago is the logo of the Magog Cartel. I was wondering whether anyone has actually ever questioned what it is. It doesn't particularly resemble the Glukkons, so I wasn't sure what it's meant to be. With so much thought into small details such as Emporio Magani, I find it unlikely that they just drew a squid thing and said, "Yep, that'll do." I think it's fair to say that that's meant to be something. And then I had a theory. In Oddworld Stranger's Wrath, it is revealed that the villain is a parasitic squid-like race known as the Oktigi, which are a species related to the Glukkons. Now, I hadn't played Stranger's Wrath for a few years, so I couldn't exactly recall if the Oktigi resembled the logo that much. So I had a look at the ending, the only time an Oktigi has been seen in full squid form, and what I was looking out for was to see if it had 4 tentacles, as seen on the logo. And indeed, it had 4 tentacles, and as it was swimming around, it even formed the same shape as the logo when it swam. Lorne Lanning has made it clear that he wants people to know that there's always someone higher up than the guy we think is the main antagonist, the big boss. We assume the Glukkons are in control of the Magog Cartel simply because that's all we've seen, but as Lorne Lanning showed through his Oddworld population pyramid, we've only scratched the lowest levels of what the cartel and Oddworld society as a whole truly is. So my theory is that the Magog Cartel isn't led by the Glukkons, but is actually ruled, at least in some parts higher up than the Glukkons, by the Oktigi parasites, which would explain why the logo apparently resembles them, and also hence why Lorne Lanning says, just like in real life, the true controllers of the world always remain hidden and out of sight. The Oktigi are practically the definition of that. They operate by taking over other individuals to act as fronts for themselves. It would also be a good and clever way to connect Stranger's Wrath to the rest of the games with some ominous foreshadowing shrouded without hindsight. Finally, where does the name Magog Cartel come from? Well, a cartel is obviously an association of manufacturers or suppliers with the purpose of maintaining prices at a high level and restricting competition, a term that has quite a bad stigma attached to it. Magog, on the other hand, is quite a bit more interesting. Magog appears in various religions with that name or another, and its representation seems to differ and get quite confusing among various interpretations, as you'd expect, but generally the first version I heard is that the Bible tells the story of 2 cities, Gog and Magog, both of which are driven to war with each other by the devil. Consequently, Jesus or God comes along and destroys them due to being evil, or something like that anyway. On the other hand, Magog is also a city in Quebec. Anyway, this was a bit of a strange video, but I thought it'd be interesting to take a closer look at the mysterious industrial corporation that's run by Oddworld's main antagonists, whoever they may be.